This video was originally just meant to be an advert for Eskute and their Black Friday sale that they've got running right now, which brings a lot of their bikes to dirt cheap prices, including the Wayfair from $9.99 down to just $7.99. But while I was recording all of these pieces of footage for this video, I kind of came to the conclusion that, to me, these bikes are more than just bikes. They have given me a brand new life and a brand new freedom that I've never really experienced before. And there's a reason for that. So in today's video, I kind of wanted to talk about something quite personal to me and how I feel Eskute has changed my life, particularly how it has made me so much more independent than I ever thought I would be. So thank you to Eskute for sponsoring this video and for sending me out two of their amazing bikes, both the Wayfair and the Nystagmus. If you want to see videos on those bikes particularly, then I'll leave some links in the description down below. But without further ado, let's cast our minds back about 25 years. So, in case you haven't noticed, my eyes are not perfect. In fact, they wobble a lot from left to right, and this is something that I've had since birth. So around 25 years ago, I was brought into this world by my absolutely amazing parents, and at the time, they discovered that I had quite an affinity for lights, to the point where I would simply just stare at them, almost soft focusing on them. And as I grew and as I became a more independent toddler and child, they noticed that my eyes would continually wobble from left to right. You're probably noticing that now I've pointed it out to you. Many people also point it out in my comment section of many of my previous videos, and it really doesn't affect me too much when people ask. Sometimes it can come across as a bit rude, but here's your answer. The reason I tend to not focus on the camera and the reason my eyes are darting from left to right is because of a medical condition called Nystagmus. There's not much I can do about it, and it has hindered my life quite heavily. At school, I would always need to sit near the front. I'd always have to have books in a much bigger font. I'd use laptops during my exams, and all of this was kind of okay up until the point I became 17 and I started wanting to learn to drive. All of my other friends had cars and they were driving around and had this newfound freedom. Unfortunately, my eyes are simply not good enough for that. My eyes are... I think the best way to explain it, if you can see something from 10 metres away with 20/20 vision, I would need to be about between 4 and 5 metres away to be able to read the same amount of detail. What I can see is realistically like a slightly out of focus blurry image. Because my eyes are continually darting, it means that things just aren't really in focus for me. And that can be a big problem, particularly when trying to read something like a number plate, which is required in the UK if you want to have a driver's licence. So, from the age of about 17 up until now, I'm now 25, I've had to rely heavily on friends and family and their vehicles, or even worse, public transport, and we all know that in the UK, public transport is just shocking. So about 2 years ago, I kind of just resigned myself to the idea that I would have to rely on public transport or other people to get me around. That is until Eskute reached out to me and asked if I wanted to review their Wayfair bike. This was my first ever e-bike. I've had bikes before this, but never an electric one, particularly with the rack on the back that would allow me to attach a bag. And as soon as I got this bike, I felt a lot more free and independent than I ever could before. I was able to just jump onto that bike and ride across the bridge over to the next town over to grab some food from the supermarket. That's not something I could really do before. I could, in theory, have walked there and walked back, but it was a long way, and those bags were pretty heavy if I was buying a whole week's worth of food. So being able to have the ability to go off on a bike, and an electric bike at that would assist me when needed, so I wasn't a sweaty mess when I got there or got back, was an absolute dream come true to me. And to this day, I still use these bikes on an almost daily basis to help me and aid me get around in life and be a little bit more independent. So that's kind of a little bit of a story time for you as to why I adore my Eskute bike so much, and hopefully it's answered some questions as well as to why it may not appear that I'm always focused on the camera, or why my eyes are darting from left to right. So let's get on to the main topic of this video, and that is of course that Eskute have their Black Friday sale coming up. Black Friday is always a big thing, and Eskute are doing some amazing deals right now. I've actually got them up here so I can talk you through them. But basically, all of their bikes have some sort of discount. Their Wayfarer, which is the bike that I use most because it was their cheapest at the time, but it also has that rack on the back to allow me to go food shopping and to carry things around with me. Normally this thing is $9.99, but right now, up until Black Friday, you can get it for just $7.99. That's £200 off. And I cannot recommend this bike enough. It's smooth, it's fun, and I always take this out on weekends, particularly when I just want to go for a little bit of an escape somewhere in the country. I'm surrounded by quite a lot of countryside, so it's nice to be able to just get out on the bike and not have to worry about work or other things for a little while. If you're wanting to go with the Nettuno or the Paluno, they are also £200 off. Normally you can get them for £1,299, but right now they are just £9,999 or £1,000. And if you're really wanting to splash the cash, then you can go with their Pro models, which have a different style of motor, which give a little bit more torque and a little bit more of a kick. They are normally $18.99, but right now they are just $14.99, saving you £400. That is an insane amount of savings. If you do want to grab any of these bikes, there'll be links in the description down below. Once again, thank you to Eskute for sponsoring this video and for sending me out the bikes as well, because in case you haven't noticed from this video, they genuinely have changed my life for the good. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.